Hi, I'm DJ Oliver and welcome to a special edition of Detroit Performs. In the next 30 minutes, you'll see why Detroit is the mecca of movement. Join us as we dance on Detroit.
Dance here actually is thriving underneath the surface. There's a huge dance community here, and there's any type of dance that you can imagine you can find here in Detroit.
Detroit has produced more performing artists of world renown than any other community in history. I mean, all the way back to the Medici family. Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, I think the Detroit dance community has actually grown too quite a bit in the last few years. I'm seeing the actual city of Detroit grow a lot more artists than I was seeing when I first started this dance company.
I grew up dancing in Detroit. I moved here when I was 9 years old and immediately started dancing with Rosemary Floyd and was with her, started teaching for Rosemary for 9 years and became a certified Cicchetti teacher. I just love teaching here, love the people here. I think dance is wonderful.
We have the oldest dance program in the country in terms of public schools. At one point, I know that the Detroit public school system had the largest dance program in terms of public schools within our nation, and quite pleased at what we've been accomplishing.
Detroit has been a mecca for dance for 100 years. Isadora Duncan, Martha Graham, the early, Ballet Russe, you know, with Diaghilev, here at the Music Hall. American Ballet Theater, here at the Music Hall. New York City Ballet, here at the Music Hall.
The artistic director for the Barcelona Ballet used to dance with ABT, so while he was over here in the country, he was going to go and do kind of a final performance with ABT in New York. And the camera people left here and went to New York to take pictures of him doing his swan song in dance with the company that he used to be the star in.
My name is Angel Correa. I'm a principal dancer and artistic director of Barcelona Ballet. And I've been a principal dancer with American Ballet Theater for 17 years. On top of that, I've danced all over the world with different companies. We had the great pleasure of dancing the Swan Lake at the Opera House here at this wonderful theater. I had come with ABT for many years, but coming back with my company it's a new beginning, and I hope that we can continue it for many years.
Last summer, Dance Theater of Harlem and the Detroit Opera House formed a partnership to do a summer program. And last year, for the first time, we did a summer intensive here in Detroit. I think it means a lot to Dance Theater of Harlem to return to Detroit in our first year as a new company.
I've just found throughout the years coming here, from those years when I was in the Alvin Ailey Company and performing at the Masonic Temple, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And there were 4 members in the company from the Detroit area at that time. So it actually put it on the map for me because I didn't know very much about Detroit except for obviously Motown and the music that has come out of here.
You will be hard pressed to find a Broadway show without at least one kid from Michigan in that show, right now. We tend to export on a regular basis, and I think that New York has come to count on Detroit. It's kind of this unarticulated truth that we've been supplying on a regular basis. All of the music you hear on the radio, all of the shows you see on Broadway.
Well, actually, my first Broadway audition was because the casting director from Billy Elliot, the musical, heard about our local dance studio in Detroit, and they heard that there were a lot of talented guys. So the casting director flew to Michigan to visit our studio, and that's where I began my relationship with her, and she called me out for an audition in New York City.
Dance brings so much to the individual person, and that's why we really have to make a stand for dance in the public schools and become advocates for dance in education all around, from preschool all the way through high school and into the university environment. Support dance. There are students who only feel a sense of self-esteem and a sense of accomplishment through movement because they're kinesthetic learners. They feel more able, more confident to take on the task of the world in their everyday lives when they can have those experiences through movement that give them that sense of accomplishment, a sense of strength, and being in charge of their own lives.
Since I was 3 years old, all I wanted to do was dance. I would just say, Mom, I wanted to go to dance class, don't take me anywhere else. So she put me in it, she let me do what I love to do, and since then I've been dancing and I haven't stopped.
Dance has really taught me time management for sure, with taking AP and honors classes at school and doing over 25 hours a week here. It's really taught me to be well-rounded and be able to plan my day and keep schedules straight and be responsible.
The dance programs that we have in this area have really exploded and have turned out some beautiful, beautiful dancers. Wayne State University, Marygrove College, Oakland University.
We have a company member, Megan Jekyll, who is from this area. I have another friend who's in another dance company in Texas who's from Detroit, and her mother teaches dance in a middle school here. I have friends that I meet and try to visit every time I'm here in Detroit and see their students and see their progress. And I actually taught a freshman this year in the Ailey Fordham BFA program who is from Detroit. So not only is Ailey giving to Detroit when we come to perform, but we're also swallowing up and taking in people and then growing them and helping them, nurturing them and helping them to grow so that they can become greater dancers and better artists and performers.
I am going to audition for the Alvin Ailey Dance Summer Intensive, and hopefully I get a scholarship. My dance mate again, Javon, he just did that last year and he came back with great reviews.
I think there's actually a lot of opportunity here. Alvin Ailey is here right now, and Dance Theater of Harlem was just here, and I went and auditioned for them as well. And I think when I meet people from other parts of the country who are dancers, they say things like, oh my gosh, I wish we had an opera house where I live. I wish we had a place where all these people came and all these amazing companies come and recruit dancers, because they have to, a lot of people just don't have that opportunity.
So many people who are so grounded in the arts, not as artists, but as philanthropers, people who want to give, who want to help, who see the importance and want to make sure that it happens. We don't get the Fisher, the Fox, the Fillmore, the Music Hall, the Opera, the DSO, the Hilberry, the Bonstell. We don't get these without people willing to invest.
Often the general public thinks that the arts, that the cultural institutions are about people who have money. The only reason why they do that is that we live in a country in which there is no public funding for the arts. So you depend on the generosity of people who have means. Doesn't mean that they're the only ones that can appreciate art. They're the ones that can support it, and hopefully they appreciate it as well. But everybody can succumb to the glory of what art is about. And that's what's exciting, and that's why you need cultural institutions that live year-round in your community, because you have to go out into the community, you have to bring them in, you expose them.
So many things have started and not been able to thrive because there's just not enough people. It's not that the quality isn't great, it's just people can't get in. There's not many living in the city yet. There's this interesting velocity, this interesting sort of it's starting to really pick up. And this is just another wonderful addition to a lot of great things that are going on in our dance community.
But Detroit is a big inspiration. It's an inspirational place with the vibes, the look, the feeling that you have. There's people dancing, there's festivals, jazz festival, all these different things, and it gives us opportunities as young artists to showcase what we have and what we can do and how we are trying to make this place a better place for everyone.
I've lived here in the city of Detroit for 88 years. I've seen the rise and fall, and now the rise of Detroit. My memories go back to the 20s, and my older sister studied dance at the Bonstell Playhouse. Can you imagine? She was sure she was going to be a ballet dancer. She was on toe. She was about 16 at the time, and Madame Kazan, who said she was from the Ballet Russe, was hired by Jessie Bonstell to create a dance department at the Bonstell Theater because Jessie wanted a total education of her actors. And you know, many of her actors were the first people to speak in Hollywood. You know, when all these people discovered they had terrible voices and they couldn't go into talkies, they were people they called Jessies. Would you please send us some actors who have good voices and know how to act?
Dancers here are really about exploring what's different, and then some are really commercial. So it's a mixture because a lot of people are there's a scene, there's hip hop scene, there's a whole Dunham Afrocentric kind of scene, African dance, especially West African and Congolese here. And then there's the contemporary dance pool, and you have your bunheads, and then you have your competition dancers.
These young people, they just come and they've got their music. They can have live music because everybody knows how to play an instrument. And they meet there and they dance. All over Detroit, they are dancing. And if some new dance comes along, they immediately learn it from somebody else.
I got my first taste of professional dance in Detroit at the Fox Theater, and that was when I was 10 and 11. And then I graduated high school when I was 17, and immediately after that I moved to New York City to join the Broadway company of West Side Story, the revival in 2009.
There are a lot of dance companies that come and visit Detroit, absolutely. You know, we are fortunate to host Complexions, and they're summer intensive every summer. But mostly, the grassroots effort is in the studios throughout metropolitan Detroit area. And there are lots of studios, and they are feeder programs, they are feeder studios to our program without a doubt.
Detroit produces some amazing talents. Strong dancers, well-trained, versatile. You know, Detroit has all this. And we have built it on our own through the schools and the programs and the talent that started it long ago. And we've been able to keep it and carry it through. And that kind of gets lost in the bad press.
I feel that Detroit really has a lot of talent that's just waiting to be cultivated, and it's budding. It's underneath the earth. It's coming. I think that through the evolution of Motown and all the art and talent that has come out of that has been birthed out of that, has been amazing for dancers, for singers, for choreographers, for musicians, for actors, for actresses, for everybody in the arts. I think Detroit, being that it's the gritty and the urban, it creates for a really textured performer. You come out of there really grounded, and you have a story that's quite profound underneath your feet that just needs to be told.
Dancers have to have something to dance, you know. Just because you're a good dancer and you have great technique doesn't mean you know what you want to dance about.
I love the fact that we are in the city of Detroit and that we are strengthening the arts community somehow by being here and spreading the word. Actually, this year I think we're traveling to Poland, which is sort of our first international tour. And we like the idea of representing the city of Detroit worldwide and saying, you know, internationally that there's something really great happening in the city of Detroit.
Should I say hello? Hello. I'm Rosemary Floyd, and I've taught ballet for quite a number of years. I had my first lesson on the stage at Fisher Theater. And then my first recital was at the Fisher Theater. And it was so much fun.
One of the reasons why many artists, and specifically Complexions, comes through to Detroit is because there's such a wealth of artists here, and young artists, and growing artists who actually have an understanding of whatever genre they're doing. Let that be music or dance or visual arts.
What's interesting about Complexions and their philosophy, it's very, very much like Detroit. It's really about embracing diversity, about finding your unique voice, and really the grit that comes along with Detroiters and the Complexions company. It kind of fits in really, really well.
There was a beautiful young woman by the name of Olga Fricker who went on to found the Cicchetti Council, which is a national, worldwide organization dedicated to improving ballet teaching and codifying the system. And Olga Fricker was one of the founders, and she taught at the Bonsdale, and my sister studied with her.
When I did the research on dance from the 30s to the 40s, just picking 10 years, what I tried to do was interview people that were still alive from that period. And two interesting things happened. One, they always gave a dance festival in the like 35, 36, 37, dedicated to world peace. And it was at the DIA. That's another place where there is still a theater. And these were dance teachers in Detroit that formed what they called the Michigan Dance Council. But also at that time, Mary Vigmond came here, Martha Graham. You know, we did have some of the modern dancers.
There is a tap history in Detroit. Lloyd's Story and the Sultans are native Detroiters and were very well-known tap dancers in their day. So Detroit definitely has a spot in tap history.
We're presenting a show at Music Hall called 313 to the 212, Choreographers Expo, because it's gotten to such a point that we have to make sure that everyone is understanding the influence of Detroit dance on New York City, what's being choreographed, the companies that are being formed, the dancers that are in them, what's going on around the nation. I mean, they're all coming from Detroit. All the local studios, we just had So You Think You Can Dance, you know, the young girl who won. They're all from here.
When I came here, you know, first of all, I didn't even know, you know, about this wonderful theater. And I remember seeing the first show, but being so impressed, like, oh my God, this is Broadway caliber.
So many people have never been to a dance recital or a dance performance, professional performances, and they don't know what they're missing unless somebody finally gets them to go, and they'll think, oh, I don't do that, or men especially, oh, I don't want to do that. Well, they go and they get hooked.
I was looking for a job teaching ballet. I thought I was going to be teaching kids in some school. It didn't happen. So this came and took over, and after 25 years doing this, now we have what we call the Christina's Adult Ballet. We have adults from 18 years old up to 70-some years old.
I moved from New Jersey to Detroit with my husband and son, and we are never leaving. We get all the best companies from around the world coming here to perform. There's a lot of enthusiasm for dance in particular.
ABT has come here at least 6 or 7 times over the years. They've always said to me that they had 3 favorite stages to perform on, and that was the Metropolitan Opera, the Kennedy Center, and the Detroit Opera House, because now we had the largest stage, you know, surely in Michigan.
The Opera House, amazing, huge, gigantic, and I'm a mover. When I dance, I move, so I get to take up all that space.
It's really amazing how Jory's been out here for less than a year, and already not only does she have space and she has dancers and she has people following her and knowing about her, but she's also planning this huge festival. Like, usually that takes years for people to get to that level, and she's done that in less than 12 months. So that alone, with how much has happened, like I can only imagine in the next couple of years how it's going to grow exponentially.
Not many people are flooding to come to Detroit, as is. So I think once the flooding begins again, I think then there'll be more simmering and vibrancy that'll be at the fingertips. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for choreographers to come and make home here, because there is opportunity to make home. And Wayne State, where I've done a Maggie Ellis residency, amazing, amazing dancers. Like, I would hire them in 2 seconds.
I had my heels on and I was gonna go walk around the city, and the public transportation part of it was a new thing. So, you know, there was the people mover, and that was really kind of it. So I hopped on that people mover and I got myself around and just checked it all out. And, you know, it was really interesting to see that there weren't so many people in the city. But I have to say, over the almost 8 years that we've been here, it's incredible to see how much fuller and busier and electric the city is on a daily basis.
We have the lions, the tigers, the red wings, the pistons, all these animals and machine parts, and that has a vast and loyal audience. But we have always had people who love the arts.
Mr. Ailey often said that dance came from the people, so it should be delivered back, and you can't turn your back on Detroit.
Just Detroit in general is such a huge arts community, and just all the different performances they put on have been pretty phenomenal.
In a way, Detroit's renown as a cultural center is more noted outside of Detroit than here. You know, when I'm in Europe traveling, people in Europe are excited about the Detroit cultural history and in music and the arts. Not only what went on years ago, but also what's happening here. So, yeah, we all know it. We all know and are proud of what we have in Detroit, but I think in some ways we don't value it the way others do outside of the city.
It's pretty remarkable, the reactions that I've gotten, and they can't believe that there's actually something going on here because of what they read in the press. They think that there's eventually not going to be anything left in Detroit, that we're just turning off the lights, and there certainly is no artistic community here. And when I explain to them what's going on in Detroit as far as the dance world, they're just really amazed that there is so much activity, choreographic activity, teaching, so much success to be proud of here in the city.
When I talk with the New York people about Detroit, they think about Detroit doesn't have anything. Like, they not think of arts in Detroit. So when I say, like, I'm gonna move to Detroit and open the art space, and they said, why? They just say, why? But you need to come here, and you need to, if you have experience here, and you can say why, but if you've never been here, don't say why.
I am a Detroiter. I had all my schooling in Detroit. I went to Cass Tech, best school. The pictures you see on television are really what it looks like, but show some of the good stuff too.
Anything that you experience as a human being in life, you experience in dance in some form or fashion. Dance teaches social skills. Dance teaches, you know, there's a lot of emphasis right now on thinking outside of the box and being creative and thinking, well, we do that. That's what we do. A lot of the funding right now in terms of education is focused on STEM, science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, that sort of thing. But it should be more towards like STEAM, because the arts, without the arts, all of that other stuff doesn't make any sense, really.
Especially in Detroit, every single thing is relevant. Everything interacts with each other, you know? It really is what can take us to the future and, you know, develop young minds to be great.
Well, the biggest thing we wanted to do when we came back is say, okay, we've been around this round world, and we bring you tidings of great joy, Detroit. You're the bomb. Really, the dancers that are coming out it's not in the water. It's really in the studio.
I think dance can affect and influence positively life outside of the world of dance or arts in general, because like it allows you to build team building skills. I think it definitely prepares someone to go into the world in different facets of the world, and you learn how to present yourself. You are very skillful and articulate. You are not afraid to stand in front of people and talk because you're a dancer. You've been on stage. I think dancers are the best actresses and actors out there.
You have to really press and push to achieve as much as you can possibly achieve, because there are no limits. They're only the limits we put on ourselves. And as long as you keep, I like to say, the lid of your box open, then you can fill it with as much as you can.
My mother, Maggie Alessi, has done so much for dance in Detroit, and it's just such a blessing to be back here and to be a part of what she's doing.
You've got dance right here waiting for you, and we say dance on Detroit because everybody's going to be doing it. Why don't you join us?
I hope you enjoyed today's show. Beginning next week, we'll bring you 4 special editions of Detroit Performs, featuring some of Detroit's most talented young musicians as they compete for a $10,000 prize on Sphinx Stars Detroit. I'm your host, DJ Oliver, reminding you to get out there and show the world how Detroit performs, y'all. Thanks for watching, guys.